Answer on this one is 10. Answer is 1 on this one. Alright, if you need to solve this, then what you would do is move this item over to the right side and change the sign to -4. That would give you a -5, but you have to divide both sides by a -1. So the answer is a +5. If you miss this one, then here's how you get it. You have to move that over to the right side and change the sign so it becomes +2. And then you'll end up with a -2 on the right. -4 plus 2 is -2. Divide both sides by this -2. Answer is 1. $13 out of 19 is 68. Homework lottery. If you have credit for your homework, then pick a number from 1 to 20. Picking 5 numbers. Alright, here we go. It's going to be 3, 6, 9, 15, and 17. If you want to find the y-intercept, you put a 0 in for x. That knocks out the entire x term. So you're left with this. Divide by -5. These cancel. Should be a +3, which is B. Here are the answers for homework. There's number 1. 0.10 x plus 10. You have to have the y equals as well. Number 2 is 0.50 x minus 80, and that's y equals 0.50 x minus 80. You must have the y equals. For number 3, it's going to be y equals 0.30 x minus 30. If you have just 0.3, that's fine too. Number 4 is y equals negative, or not negative, but 0.20 x minus 50. And on number 5, it's y equals 0.30 x minus 110. Today's Common Core objective: create an equation and graph it. Here's example 1. A teacher will give a minimum score of 60% on a test, even if a student misses all questions and shows all of their work on the test. For each problem the student answers correctly, the teacher will give 5 percentage points. Create an equation that represents this scenario and graph it. What form does our equation have to be in? Y equals mx plus b. Okay, so whatever you get, whatever you turn in, you get 60%. Regardless of what you get right, as long as you show your work. So where would the 60 go in the equation? B. It would be in the B spot, right. Alright, so we have 60 in for the B. So if we get a minimum of 60, let's just throw out a number and say that I have 7 questions right. If I have 7 questions right, what's my score for the test?
80. Did you get 6 right?
You get 7.
42. It'd be a 95.
95. How did you get that?
Because you add 5 percentage points to every question you get correct.
Right. Then you add 60. So yeah, you would come back with a 95. So if you know that, then where should the 5 percentage points go at in the equation?
M.
M is right. It should go in for M. So we'll have y equals 5x plus 60. Are there any questions about how we created the graph?
No.
Stickler.
Is that right or wrong?
That's right. Yes. There is nothing to do to this one as there was yesterday where you had to subtract minutes from your total minutes used in the cellular problem. On your graph paper, we are going to graph y equals 5x plus 60. But we have to come up with a scale. First, we'll start with the y-axis. What does the y-axis represent? When you get a number back for y, what does that number represent? Well, remember we plugged in, what did we plug in here? Number of questions. So the number right goes in for x. And when I calculate this, what is the number that it gives me back? The total score, right. So we'll go over here for score. Now, how should we make the scale on the y-axis? He says every 1 by 5. So we'll take the first suggestion and see how it works. Do I have to write 5 on all of these hash marks? 5, 10, 15, 20? No. How many should I skip before I write something? Okay, we can skip 2. So that would make this one 10, and then 20, 30, 40. What's the minimum amount that I have to go up in order to successfully graph the problem? What dot do I have to make on the y-axis? Yeah, I have to at least have 60 so I know where it's at. So I need to go up at least one more, and I'll throw in a 70 as well. Okay, there it is. Now what about the x-axis? What should I make the scale on my x-axis? Tens. Do we know how many problems there are on the test? No. So if we don't know how many problems there are on the test, if we made this by tens, and let's say I had 7 right. So if I went by tens and I made this a 10 for 10 questions right, how am I going to find 7? Is it going to condense my work in? Yeah, so how can I spread this out a little bit? I can go by ones. Should I put a 1 on each block all the way through there? Should I skip every other one? Do I have to put something? Do I have to put a 1 right here? Does this have to be 1? Can this be 1?
Yes.
If I make this one 1, where's the next one going to be at? 2 more to the right is 2, 3, 4, 5. I can skip all the way across there. I can skip every other hash mark and put a 1 on there. When I do that, it spreads things out. So that it's kind of like zooming in on an iPad where you pinch out and you can see it more clearly. If I were to go by tens on this, then I would be so far down inside of one block it would be so hard to draw it. You couldn't even do it with a ruler on your paper. I could do it here because I can zoom in, but you can't zoom in on your paper. So here's our graph. What's the first thing I have to do? 60. Where do I put the 60? On the y-axis. Okay, we'll put a dot here on the 60. And then what's the slope? 5x. So I have to go up how many? I have to go up 5. So how many hash marks is that on the graph? Just 1, so I got to go up 5, and just one block is going to be 5, the way we marked it off. How far to the right do I have to go? 1 over, which is really how many blocks? It's 2, because remember, on our scale down here, every 2 blocks is 1. So when you go over numerical 1, it's not 1 block, it would have to be 2. Okay, once you have that,
Our graphs, like sideways version.
yeah, you have the first quadrant and I have the first quadrant, but yours has more blocks that go to the right than mine do. So it makes yours look like a rectangle. Alright, so we have to draw the line. And here it comes. There it is, and you can put an arrow right there. Let's test the accuracy of this graph. What if I had 6 problems right? And 6 would be right here on the x-axis. If I had 6 problems right and I follow this all the way up to the graph, my score should be what? He says 85. So if I put a 6 in right here and multiply by 5, what do I get? 30 plus 60 is what? 90. So we'll check it again. 6, and here it is on the graph. Looks like it's close to 90. If you look over here, we can add in more numbers. This is an 80, and this is a 90. So how close did I hit this? This is 90, comes to here, and then down here is 6. So we'll try to follow this up. So mine's off a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, my graph is off just a little bit, well, quite a bit actually, because I went to 60 and I made a dot, and I went up 5 and then over 1, which is still fine, but my line isn't drawn completely accurate because the thickness of my line, you can't change it. It's so thick that if you go back down here to move it, does that move? Yeah, there we go. And I can't even adjust one end of it either. So if I come down to this 60, I can't move it up much either. Yeah, mine should have gone up way more. Look at this. Here's the problem. With my graph, you could erase yours and do it, but I can't. See how that line is on the dot here, but it's not touching that one there. So it exponentially throws it off all the way out. What I can do is I can go back, and this is as close as I can come to erasing it. I can do this. Well, that still didn't do it, so how about this? There we go. I'll try again and see if I can get close to it. I have to line it up away from it in order for it to even be close. Then I got to move it to it. Did I get any closer that time? Yeah. Looks like I hit it right there. Yeah, so that's 90. That's for the first 6. If you want to find what y is, you have to plug in the value for x into this equation. So 3 times 6 is 18 plus 30 is 48. This one is to the first 10 people. Alright, you put a 7 in. You get 7 times 30 is 280 plus 4 is, oh, not 280, 210, yeah. You get 210 plus 4, which is 214. Alright, try this practice problem. Graph this on your paper, and the way I will check it is I'll pick out a specific number of problems, and I'll follow it up your graph to see that it crosses at the right spot to give us the correct score. For this problem, your equation should be y equals 4x plus 40. And we have to go graph that. But now I have to make up my scale here. So at the bottom, I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to go up by 5s so that I can see this more clearly, but I'm going to make it 10 every other one, which is the same thing. So we'll go up to 30 and then 40. We have to at least go up to 40 so I can plot the y-axis. Alright, so for the y-intercept, it's 40. And for the slope, we have to go up 4 and then to the right 1. So if I go up 4 from this, it's almost halfway. Almost halfway. And I got to go over 1, which is going to put me 2 blocks away. Right here. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit here. Probably not that much. Yeah.
Since you're going up 10 from each 2, wouldn't it be super close to the other line? To the middle line?
We're going to the right 2.
No, I mean like you're going up 10. Yeah, you're going up by 10s and it gives each 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. He's right. That should be up closer to this next one. It's a good thing that mark stayed there, or else I'd have to scale it again. He's right. This should be closer to this one right here. And that dot stays the same. But it should be closer to this one. Alright, so let's graph that, and I just need to stay that spot and above when I graph it. We'll put this in blue. So I'm following that dot in this one. Let's see how close I can get this. Alright, let's check the accuracy of my graph. Remember, the equation was the following. It was y equals 4x plus 40. What if I have 5 right? If I have 5 questions right, what's my score? Where do I put the 5 in the equation? X, so what's 5 times 4? 20 plus 40. 60, yeah, so I need to check this out and see if it matches up. So I do have to go back after all and make some grid marks here. There's the 40, and this is going to be 50, and this is 60. And then going this way, I had to go every 2, so there's 2, 3, 4, 5. So we checked out 5, and 5 should be 60. So I'm going to follow this straight up, and there it is there. Did I miss it? Oh yeah, so mine's off. So I've got to go back here and try this again. You could erase it, but I've got to go back and wipe everything out. But now I have the luxury of doing this. I can go there, and I've got to make it go through that point and this one. So that's a way to cheat. But you can do the same thing too, even before you first draw your graph. Remember what score we came up with for this when we put in a 4? So if I go over to the right 4 on the bottom and then up 60, can I make a dot there? Yes. What if I went over 1? If I get 1 right, it would be 44, so go over 1 up 44, so now I have 3 dots including my y-intercept. What if I had 2 right? 2 times 4 is 8 plus 40? 48. What if I want something that's going to fall right on a 10? What if I put in a 10 right here? 10 times 4 is plus 40, 80. So you can plot as many points as you want to make it accurate all the way through, and not just use the first 2 points that you have. Tomorrow is a test.
You didn't tell us that yesterday.
Why would I tell you that yesterday?
That way we would have to study.
Alright, so for the test you have to know 2 things. One is to be able to find the x and y intercepts from this form. Find the x and y intercepts from this form. Next Friday you'll have a test over the graphs that we're doing now. Remember, to find the x and y intercepts, what you have to do is to plug in 0 for the other variable that you're not finding. What's the y-intercept in this one?
B.
Yeah, b is the y-intercept in that. And if I wanted to find the x-intercept, I would put a 0 in for y. And for example, I could be left with something like this, which changes to this, so it would be a -2. Answer on the bonus is 194. Here's another one while we give everybody else a chance to finish. Answer on this bonus is 192. Answer on this one is 540. To the first 6. Answer to this one should be 120.